Hey everyone, so the Grafana Assistant officially went GA at ObservabilityCON back in October. And since then, there's been a lot of buzz around how it can help users onboard with Grafana Cloud, troubleshoot incidents, and even create dashboards and alerts, SLOs, all that good stuff. So today, we're putting that to the test. I'm going to go head to head with the Grafana Assistant to see who can onboard my app into Grafana Cloud faster, but most importantly, accurately. Now, the idea of this video is not to see who wins per se, but to find out if the assistant can actually make the process smoother and help developers like us get to insights a heck of a lot faster. Let's do it. All right, first up, the first thing you're going to notice here when watching this video is that I sped this up. Now, I didn't do any editing magic. I didn't really speed up the time in any way. The amount of time it took me to do this is the amount of time you see in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll see this climbing up, obviously, because we are recording this, I think, in like 500x speed. I forget exactly what it is, but I sped this up so you don't have to watch me go through the entire process manually. Now, what you will see here when I'm building out this dashboard is I was looking to see what metrics and log data we actually have at our disposal to use. Then from there, what I did was I said, okay, I could build these Redis, Kafka, and Postgres dashboards from scratch, writing my own queries, investigating each individual metric, but I thought that would take way too much time. So I streamlined it a bit by using the community dashboards that are already at our disposal when you use Grafana, right? There's a lot of great dashboards out there in the wild, so I decided to rip them from the internet and just upload the JSON directly. Now, the problem with having a dashboard from the community sometimes is that your environment or your metric data and log data and trace data might not exactly match what's in that dashboard. So we had to make some tweaks here, right? I liked what the Kafka exporter dashboard was giving me in terms of like lag by consumer group, messages in per second, so forth. But on top of that, what I had to do was start to strip out some of the variables that the dashboard referenced. For example, I didn't have any dashboard or any variables that have drop-down menus in my dashboard. So what I had to do was strip them out from the queries. Now, the pain of this is that you have to do this for each individual dashboard and each individual panel. So you can see here that I'm doing it for Kafka quite a bit because I get no data. I do have to transform some of the data. You'll see that like I'm stacking time series panels on top of each other. I like to do this just as practice because let's say I have some sort of log error rate panel that's over time. And then below it, I have a memory percentage used. Maybe I want to see how that correlates. So if one event happens at a specific point in time, and then right below it, I see that, oh, okay, this actually had a spike as well, then I can start to correlate that a lot easier than trying to go like through different dashboards or look at different portions of the panels and so forth. So I like that because I just think it's a great numerical representation of what's happening over time. You'll see that I'm starting to group these all into rows. So I already have the Kafka portion built out. I'm starting to build out the Redis one. Usually when I have stat metrics, I like to kind of group them up the top. So anything like memory percentage used, CPU percentage, so forth. I figure I can jam those up into 3 per row. So I like to do stat visuals, usually try to put 3 up there, and then all time series panels are going to be stacked on top of each other. Gauges, sort of the same as stat, in my opinion, how I view them in terms of dashboard layouts. If you are curious about like how to build clean dashboards and you like the dashboard I built here, I'm happy to do another video on that. Just drop a comment in on YouTube or on this video and just say that you kind of want to see some more of this stuff. So you'll see that I have to explore some of the data because some of the out-of-the-box dashboards that are built by the community, although are great, sometimes the exporters change, right? Maybe more labels are added, maybe more labels are dropped to reduce cardinality, things like that. So I have to start to investigate the individual metrics themselves and say to myself like, oh, am I grouping by the right thing here? And this is obviously a lot of manual effort, but I am actually kind of cruising here. And given that I do have some years of experience using Grafana, I'm a little bit more comfortable with this. But if I had to build all these queries from scratch, this would take me so much time. I can't even begin to imagine like using the right PromQL query, making sure I build out the right panel type and all that. Now we're switching over now to the alert creation. So you'll see that I'm actually writing my own standard OLQL query. And pretty much what I'm doing is I'm just doing a label matcher on the production environment. I'm looking at all my error logs and I'm grouping these by service. So I don't want to create an alert that necessarily has like one alert for my transaction service, one alert for my auth service, one for my account service. I want to make this more global. So if any service occurs that has a error rate that is above 5%, I want to be notified. Now you'll see that I have to do some sort of ratio here. So I pretty much have to say, look at all my logs in my production environment, and then look at the error logs. Divide the error logs by, or the rate of my error logs by the total rate of logs, and then multiply that by 100 to get some sort of percentage value. Now you can see that I'm also doing this to notify me just on my basic endpoint, and you can see now we are done. Stop timer. So we have that. Now we want to do this using the assistant. Let's see if we can do this faster, and let's see if we can pretty much create the same result using the assistant. So let's jump into that. All right, the beanie is now on, and we're going to use the assistant to create the same experience that we did manually, right? We need a dashboard and we need an alert. So first things first, what I'm going to do is go into dashboards, and I'm going to create a new dashboard. I'm going to open up the Grafana Assistant, and I'm going to say, have context into my logging or Loki data source and my Prometheus data source. I'm going to say, create me a dashboard that displays the overall health of my FiFlow application and infrastructure components. This will include app logs, or let's actually say this will include Redis, Kafka, and Postgres metrics, along with relevant logs for these components. Additionally, include markdown panels to explain what we are monitoring. So a developer coming in for the first time will understand. Bam. Okay, so now we're kicking off a task for the assistant to go and actually create us a dashboard. Now I've given it a couple rules on the back end, just for like very basic layout and very specific rules to follow. So like, for example, if I refer to application, I mean to look at this sort of data, right? Or at least look in this general vicinity, just so it's a little bit more tailored to what I need. Now, I also said to like do specific things with the layout. Like for example, in the manual dashboard I created, I said I had like stat panels up above, but it had time series graphs or time series panels stacked on top of each other. So I was like, hey, if I refer to time series panels, make sure they're stacked so I can correlate them on top of each other. Stat panels can have 3 stat panels to a row. So obviously make sure that stat panels are in that order. So you can see right now it's doing a lot of the work under the hood. It's searching through my Prometheus metrics, searching for Loki log streams. It's also creating comprehensive dashboards, validating all the queries. If we actually pop out of the Grafana Assistant, you can actually see how this is working. I told it to make some markdowns as well. The way I view dashboard creation and essentially any asset creation with an assistant is, can it get me 80% of the way there? If it can, then I can put the final touches or the last 20% on, right? And then I get to a pretty good result. But I want it to do a lot of the scaffolding work for me. So it looks like it's still working to give me all the Redis, Kafka, Postgres, and application data. This is actually looking really slick. Like, I would probably actually prefer this layout over what I created manually. I do like the rows and tabs, and I could group it into rows and tabs if I wanted to manually, but I think this is getting me like pretty good baseline dashboard. We can see that it's giving me like conflicts and deadlocks for my Postgres database, active connections, cache hit ratios for my various services, Postgres database operations. It's even giving me my application logs, my infrastructure logs, which is really nice. So I can then use this dashboard as a reference to be like, hey, assistant, look at this dashboard. Is anything going wrong with the overall health? Like, can you correlate some of this data for me? And we actually will do that as an exercise. So you can see here that I'm actually getting some errors when it comes to offset failed for some sort of consumer group in my Kafka, which I could definitely identify that, but I could actually have the assistant look into it and see if anything else correlates alongside with it. So there are things that I'll have to manually tweak, right? Like, okay, I gotta calculate this. So let's actually have that stat panel be an aggregate, right? For Redis uptime, for example, maybe I'll want to view this as a time series panel. So I'll have to go down to time series, and then I can see how this uptime is just continuously growing, which is really good. But if I see some sort of dip, obviously I need to look into that, right? The cache hits and misses look to be all good. It's still creating some resources for me, and let's see what it says. Okay, awesome. So it gave me everything that I need, and honestly, this looks pretty awesome. Now let's just say, please create me an alert that allows me to be, let's say, please create me an alert that notifies me when the error rate for one of my services exceeds 5%. Right on. So now we're going to have the assistant go and actually create us some sort of alert for this. It's going to do some work in the background, searching for metrics. I don't have any like alert rule creation rules on the back end for the assistant, but we're going to see if it can do a pretty stellar job just without me just prompting. So it's looking at more specific log-based metrics that it can use. It's creating a log-based alert. It's validating the query for me. I'm going to save this dashboard and then go let the assistant do its magic. Okay, so it seemed to be an issue when I tried to create it, save the dashboard. Please create the above alert and navigate to the appropriate portion of the platform. All right. Okay, so now it actually brought me there. It created the alert for me, filled in all the queries. I'll add a folder. I can do that manually. I obviously could have prompted it to like tell me where, but I'm glad it's not just making decisions for me of where to save things. I can actually be a little bit more tailored with this and configure the last touches that I want, right? Like I said, 80% of the way there. And in my opinion, if it can write the queries for me so I don't have to understand PromQL, LogQL, TraceQL, all that stuff, then I think that's a total win. We'll set the eval group. We have no eval groups right now set, so we'll just call this like service alerts, alert eval group. If I could only type, we'll have that as a 1 minute eval time. We'll have the pending period for 1 minute. We'll have it just sent to my default email. We could obviously send this out to Slack or whatnot, and we'll save it. Okay, so just to cap off the challenge, the assistant clearly beat me when it comes to asset creation like dashboards and alerts, right? It took it about 7.5 minutes versus me manually. It took me about 25. Honestly, it would have taken me longer if I tried to actually correlate all that data myself. Throwing the investigations feature into the assistant gives it even more power, so you can start to run agents in the background to understand what's going on with your apps and services. So if you're erroring out, how does it all correlate together with all your telemetry? And I think that's a huge added bonus. I love that the assistant has context into your environment, so you can actually give it specific data sources to look at when you prompt it. So maybe you want to understand your metrics more, your logs more, maybe you want to correlate logs, metrics, and traces all together. It's all possible through the assistant, and I think that's going to save developers and engineers a ton of time. So that's a video. Thank you for tuning in. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take it easy.